What's going on, everyone? How we doing? Hope you're all well. 2 months ago now, I passed another 200k challenge with Ftmo, and I went on to the verification stage, and I put a post up on Twitter the other day showcasing passing that, and obviously it did take me longer than expected, and I figured there's a lot of lessons in this that I wanted to share. I wanted to show how I kind of managed the account and how I managed a drawdown period that, again, I didn't want to happen, but there was not a lot I could do about it. And also touch on how old me would have very easily gotten in my own way, and I would have found a way to self-sabotage. And I think this is one of the biggest things. Most traders do get in their own way and they find a way to sabotage it, whether it be taking poor quality trades, taking trades that don't fit the plan, rushing, that kind of feeling of I'm nearly there, the greed taking control. Whatever it might be, there's a plethora of things that it could be. Now, what I want to do is I want to go over the metrics. I want to kind of touch on things in a brief manner. But I also want to say, one of the biggest factors for me to truly change how I now am, being able to identify where I could have gone wrong and not go wrong in the first place, and actually be professional and disciplined and self-aware and understand all these things that once would have haunted me and caused me a problem, they no longer did. And again, I'm not perfect, there's things I'm still working on, but I can't thank Rewired enough for this. I've always been an advocate of, mindset in general. However, there was still elements of things that I not quite understood perhaps, and there were still areas in my trading performance that needed work. A lot of people since then have embarked on Rewired themselves, and the feedback's been incredible. People are loving it, people are seeing massive growth. And I just want to touch on the fact that if you're still sleeping on Rewired, you're wasting a lot of time that you could be working on improving yourself. Think about how many challenges, think about how many verifications, how much money you're putting into trying to pass in the gambling mindset, in the fluke it stage, in whatever stage it might be. If you just fix the issue and found the root of the issue, which will be different for everybody, most people will have an edge. And if you give two traders the same edge, one that's competent in themselves and understands their mindset in a better manner and their image is better, will likely outperform the one that has a poor mindset, gets in their own way, sabotages, has a bad image, has a bad perception of things, is greedy. They'll both have massively different results, and this proves that mindset is so important. There wasn't any book or there wasn't any podcast that gave me the same level of value that Rewired's given me. So it's something I highly suggest people looking into. There's a link in the description, and if you use code ALBI10, you can save yourself a bit of dough. The last 30 days, someone, I don't know who, has failed 106 challenges. Let that sink in for a minute. 106 challenges. I respect the fact that they're still going and they're still going for it and trying to figure things out, but the likelihood is they have a mindset issue that they're just not addressing, and they hope that if they just clicking the button and buying new challenges, they're going to pass one, until you realise that there is more of a detailed problem that you need to address and fix in order to pursue this trading game full time with longevity at scale. You will always forever just keep going round and round in circles like you're on some kind of merry-go-round and you can't get off. And then only when you decide to actually get off and embark on a new journey of self-discovery and fixing the root of the problem, you'll actually see massive progress. But it takes time, and we don't want that delayed gratification. We want everything now. But imagine how that person's feeling. Sit and think for a minute. If you had failed 106 challenges, how would you feel? And at what cost? How much money has that person spent on hoping to pass? And this is why the stats are so bad. Because people are literally just going and lighting up challenge after challenge in the hope that one might work. And it almost becomes a game. And it's not a game. You have to stop treating it like a game. So you can see I started on the 28th of April. I believe the trade I took was actually it wasn't even a valid trade. And I think you can see here I closed it out for like $750. As you can see here, I pretty much went down to nearly 5% minus on verification. So now I had a mountain to climb. I needed to make 5%, but now I actually needed to make 10% to pass. Now, as you can imagine, I went down that in the first couple of weeks of May, and I also had then sort of 2 weeks with no trades at all. However, what I do is I just back and believe my system. Old me would have found a way at this point to just go, I'm going to hit a home run, and what will be will be. I'm either going to keep hitting the trades and I'll either win with big RR, or I'm going to just take loads of losses, blow the account up, cry about it, and then buy another one. That is what I would have done, and I have no shame in admitting that. However, now I realise that this is where traders are made. Traders are made in drawdown, and anyone telling you otherwise is a liar. You will have to experience drawdown as a trader. If you want to do this professionally for a long time, you are going to have to get used to being in drawdown. You're going to have to get used to losing. It's normal, and it's why you should never be measuring your performance on a week or a day or a month, even a quarter to a degree. A lot of people in the professional finance world will measure their performance across a year to see how much they grew their account, how much they benefited their account. And if you look at a lot of big companies, Apple, Amazon, a lot of them are making around 15-20% a year. However, we're alluded to the fact that we should be making that every week. And again, this is why the images that you're putting into your mind are hurting you, but you're also not aware of those images because you haven't rewired your mind. You do not understand your self-image. And self-image is something that's thrown around willy-nilly, but I don't think people truly understand what it means, along with the things of your actual identity, the beliefs that you hold, and also the self-awareness to identify these moments where you may go on tilt and you may do some dumb shit. In this stage, I noticed I was on tilt. I was -5 down. I just shared with everyone that I'd passed. As you all know, I'm scaling my capital and I have loads of other accounts. They were also all in drawdown. And I was like, yo, my live accounts are in drawdown. My challenges are in drawdown. My verifications are in drawdown. This isn't how I planned it. Oh my God, what do I do? But I remembered and stayed composed. I remembered that my edge works because I have the data. I remembered that my trading plan works because I've built it around my edge. And I remembered that the third most important ingredient of all of them is my mindset to ensure that I can execute when needed. This is the thing. If you lose your mind and if you lose your head completely, you won't be able to execute when needed. And what a lot of traders will do when they're in drawdown is they'll miss, they'll hesitate, they'll be fearful, they'll be scared to hit that next trade. What I did is when it's set up and it fit the system, I just got in it. I wasn't trying to close it early. I was letting it run to the desired TPs. I would just set and forget. You have to experience this. It's normal. Don't be ashamed to be like, oh, I was in drawdown. Oh my God. And as you can see, it wasn't an easy ride. I got out of drawdown in a couple of trades. I then went back into drawdown, got out of drawdown, went back into drawdown pretty heavily, then came out of drawdown, then stayed out of drawdown, and then we passed. However, this took 60 days to make 10%, which again is an incredible return. It's 5% per month if you want to have it like that, which on a 7-figure account is 50k a month. That's all good in the hood. And this is why you've got to also stop letting people elude you to that 5% or 2% or 3% is bad, because it always comes down to the capitalization. If you're undercapitalized, then yes, 5% might be rubbish. But if you have scale, 5% is incredible, and your commission might be more than someone's freaking profit. So bear that in mind as well, right? If you're someone that's struggling through drawdown, if you're going into drawdown and you're just going on tilt and you're constantly doing the same thing on repeat, you're on that merry-go-round and you're unable to get off it, I highly advise you need to action it. Take action and figure out what is the problem at hand, what is causing it, and get to the root of that issue. Now, I understand not everybody may have the money for Rewired, but somehow you all managed to find money for challenges, which are 200k accounts and almost the same cost. Imagine if you stopped wasting money on 200k accounts, invested in something that actually benefited you mentally, took you a few more months, and then when you next spent that 200k account and you got it, you would actually get it, keep it, pass it, get your refund and make money off it. The risk on investment is incredible. However, you're scared to do that because your ego's at play. You think you know it all, but you don't because your results don't show it. Remember, stats don't lie. If your results show that you're in drawdown all the time, you're losing and you're not consistent, you do have to start asking questions of, is it the edge or is it you? If you have friends that use the same edge, or you know people that use the same system and they're profitable and you're not, it's not the edge, it is you. And until you accept that responsibility, you're not going to get anywhere. And this isn't me being horrible or arrogant. And if this comes across that way, then I'm very sorry. But I'm getting passionate about it because I was the same. I was that trader who believed that I knew it all and nothing anyone could tell me would know. I knew it all like the back of my hand. You can have the best edge in the world, but if you can't exercise and utilize it properly, it's no good. It doesn't mean anything. Another thing I want to touch on is it's very easy to wake up in the middle of the day, wake up and all you think about is your challenge. You're like, oh, I'm in drawdown, oh, I'm in drawdown. You need to detach from it. I was very detached from these challenges, very detached from these verifications, detached from my live account. And again, this goes back to your financial position. If you're in a good financial position, if you're not, maybe address that first. This also goes back to you understanding that it's a long game. And again, if you're not thinking that way, then again, you've come into it with the wrong image of what trading is and your perception of a trader. So you need to work on that. There are so many things that will govern your decision making when you're in drawdown, and you have to be at your best. Drawdown is when you have no room for error. You have to perform at the absolute highest level you can, because if you slip up in drawdown, you will get smoked within an instant. There's no shame with being in drawdown, but there's a shame in not addressing the problem that's causing the drawdown. It's normal to happen, but if you can't get out of it and you're a trader that goes into drawdown and never gets out, there's work to be done. And that's exciting because it means you can find ways to improve and better your performance. Yeah, as always, I hope this video helps in some way, shape or form, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace and love, gang.